Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in Iran and the Middle East in the past 24 hours. The latest discussions between Iran and Oman are focused on a possible temporary shipping arrangement, but the details reveal why this remains such a difficult problem. Iran is not simply looking to reopen the waterway and return to the old system. Tehran wants a new framework where it has a recognized role in managing traffic, monitoring ships, and potentially providing maritime services. That is the core disagreement. The U.S. position is that the Strait of Hormuz must remain an international waterway. Iran's position is that its security concerns and geographic position give it a legitimate role in controlling how traffic moves through the strait. The difference between those two views is basically the entire diplomatic battle right now, and this is where the latest developments become important. President Trump said Monday that negotiations with Iran were underway and described the situation as Iran's last chance to reach an agreement. He said the first phase would be reopening the strait, followed by discussions about Iran's nuclear program. Iran, however, pushed back hard on that characterization. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai said there were no direct U.S.-Iran negotiations taking place and that Tehran's discussions were only with Oman over a shipping route. So we have another example of something that has defined this conflict from the beginning. The public statements are almost part of the negotiation itself. Both sides are trying to control the narrative, demonstrate strength, and avoid appearing like they are making concessions under pressure. Behind the scenes, countries like Pakistan and Qatar continue trying to keep communication channels open. Pakistan says its military leadership has remained in contact with both Washington and Tehran, hoping to create enough space for talks before another round of escalation begins. But the bigger strategic question is whether Iran believes it has more to gain from maintaining pressure than from reaching a quick agreement. Right now, the evidence suggests Tehran believes its leverage is working. Iran's strategy has not been based on defeating the United States in a conventional military fight. Tehran understands that is not realistic. Instead, it is focused on creating economic and political costs, disrupt shipping, increase insurance rates, pressure regional allies, force governments to spend more resources protecting trade routes. It is a strategy built around endurance. The Strait of Hormuz has become the centerpiece because the effects are global. Before the conflict, roughly 1/5 of global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments moved through the waterway. Even if Gulf countries develop alternative routes, those solutions take years and do not eliminate vulnerabilities. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have expanded pipeline options that bypass Hormuz for some energy exports, but refined fuels, liquefied natural gas, food supplies, and other critical imports remain much harder to reroute. That means Iran's leverage is not disappearing simply because countries are adapting. Inside Tehran, there are also signs of a deeper leadership struggle over how to use that leverage. Former Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif warned that Iran could overplay its hand if it keeps the strait restricted for too long, potentially pushing countries, including China, closer to a position against Tehran. President Masoud Pezeshkian has also pushed for preserving diplomatic options. But the harder-line factions, particularly those tied to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, appear to believe Iran should continue pressing its advantage. Major General Mohsen Rezaiei, a military advisor to Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, rejected the idea of a separate shipping corridor that would reduce Iranian authority. Reports also suggest Mojtaba Khamenei may be moving to increase his influence over national security institutions by replacing officials connected to other factions with people closer to his own circle. The takeaway is that Iran's external confrontation is happening alongside an internal power struggle over who controls the country's security direction. And Tehran is making sure pressure is not limited to Hormuz. Iran-backed Houthi forces in Yemen remain an important part of the broader strategy. Reports indicate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has helped the Houthis strengthen missile, drone, and maritime attack capabilities near the Red Sea, including areas overlooking the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. That matters because Iran is demonstrating that it can pressure multiple maritime routes at the same time. Hormuz affects Gulf energy exports. Bab al-Mandeb affects shipping between the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea. Together, those two choke points give Iran and its partners the ability to create uncertainty across a huge portion of global commerce. The Houthis also claimed a strike against Saudi Arabia's Najran airport, although Saudi officials had not confirmed the attack. The larger point is the same one we have seen throughout this conflict. Iran's partners provide Tehran with additional ways to apply pressure without directly escalating into a full state-on-state confrontation. Iran is also focused internally. Iranian officials claimed elite special operations forces conducted raids against Kurdish opposition groups in northern Iraq. Those claims have not been independently confirmed, but they fit with Tehran's broader concern that internal opposition groups could attempt to exploit instability while the regime is under international pressure. Another development worth watching is Syria's changing relationship with Russia. Syrian officials have reportedly told Washington they are willing to significantly reduce Russian oil imports as part of discussions over removing Syria from the U.S. state sponsors of terrorism list. Russia has become Syria's dominant crude supplier, but Damascus appears interested in diversifying its energy relationships as it moves closer to Western governments. For the United States, this creates another opportunity to reduce Moscow's influence in the Middle East. Russia has maintained leverage in Syria through energy, military access, and economic relationships, even after losing some of its political position. The broader picture today is that the Iran conflict is increasingly becoming a contest over systems and leverage. Iran is trying to prove that geography, proxies, and economic disruption can offset America's conventional military advantage. Washington is trying to force Tehran back toward negotiations without allowing Iran to establish a new precedent for controlling global trade routes. That's all for today. Be good to one another, keep your critical thinking switched on, and remember, powerful people can survive a little scrutiny. Find the Daily Brief at restrictedhandling.substack.com.